welcome to the deep dive. We're tackling a really fascinating theory today. It stems from the sources you shared with us, specifically a YouTube video transcript from Tolan Vlog.
That's right.
In this video, it dives into this intriguing idea of a lost global maritime civilization, the Laputa, and their potential links to ancient Japan, with a real focus on the Aichi prefecture region.
Yeah, so our goal really is to explore the most compelling evidence presented in that video for this connection. We want to, dig into the clues supposedly left behind by the Laputa and these related cultures.
Okay, so what's the core premise here? The video seems to lean heavily on this ancient one world theory.
It does. Proposed by Dr. Barry Fell, among others, it suggests basically a single ancient civilization that used seafaring to spread across the whole globe.
Wow, okay.
And the video then follows the work of a Japanese petroglyph researcher, Mr. Katsuta Takuchi. He's the one who identifies this ancient power specifically as the Laputa.
Got it. So the Laputa, what's the timeline the video gives for them?
Well, according to the source, they were active quite a long time ago, maybe 10,000 to 5,000 years back.
10,000 years.
Yeah. And ancient Japan is even suggested as a potential base for them, a home base.
Astonishing. And then what? They just disappear?
Not disappear exactly.
Yeah.
The idea presented is that around 5,000 years ago, big climate shifts happened.
Yeah, okay.
And that supposedly led to their dispersal. And this is where it gets really wild. The video suggests some of these scattered groups might have become the Celts.
The Celts.
The Maga, who they say founded Sumer.
Sumer, like Mesopotamia.
Exactly. And even the Phoenicians, who then potentially could have links to the Israelites or Jewish people. It's a very sweeping hypothesis.
That's putting it mildly. A single origin for all those groups, tracing back to Japan.
Well, tracing back to the Laputa, who might have been based in Japan, according to this theory. But it doesn't stop there.
Whoa.
There's a return to Japan idea in the video. Yeah, the concept is that these descendant cultures, Sumerians, Celts, Phoenicians carrying, and this is the video's term, Laputa DNA,
right.
They eventually traveled back to Japan. And once they got there, they supposedly recognized these huge stone structures, the megalithic sites left by the original Laputa, and they added their own markings, their petroglyphs, to these ancient places.
So, like layers of history on the same spots. Okay,
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, we're zeroing in on Aichi Prefecture.
Exactly. The video proposes this area was a key landing zone, maybe an area of influence for the Laputa, based on things like ancient ocean currents and, the geography.
Makes sense for a maritime culture.
Which leads to a really important point in the video's method: rivers and ancient place names.
How so?
The argument goes that river mouths in bays, they call them wands, would be logical landing points for seafarers like the Laputa.
Looking for fresh water.
Precisely, seeking freshwater sources upstream. And what's more, the video suggests that finding ancient place names near these rivers that sound similar to Sumerian, Celtic, or Phoenician, well, that could be significant evidence.
Okay, I see the logic they're building.
Yeah.
So where does the evidence start stacking up, according to the transcript?
It immediately points us to the Kiso 3 rivers.
Kiso 3 rivers.
Yeah. The Kiso, the Nagara, and the Ibi rivers. They all flow into Aizu Bay, right there in Aichi Prefecture. These become the primary focus.
And the hook is?
The hook is that the video suggests all three river names might actually have roots in Sumerian culture.
All three. Okay, let's break that down. Where do we start? Nagar.
Let's start with Nagara. The video links Nagara to Naga.
Naga, like the serpent or dragon figure.
Exactly. The serpent god, supposedly worshipped by the Maga. And remember, the Maga are the ones said to be descended from the Laputa who founded Sumer.
Okay.
And the source even claims serpent worship itself originated with the Laputa. It also links the Maga to the later Khmer civilization, Angkor Wat.
That's a lot of connections based on Naga. How solid is that kind of link, typically?
Well, serpent imagery is widespread in ancient cultures, that's true. But the specific claim here from the video is this direct lineage. Laputa to Maga to Sumer to the Nagara river name, establishing that kind of unbroken line that would need some pretty substantial corroborating evidence, usually archaeological or linguistic.
Right, beyond just the name sounding similar. Okay, what about the Ibi River?
For the Ibi River, the video states that Ibi in the Okinawan language means a sacred site, specifically one with worshipped megaliths, large stones.
Megaliths, like Stonehenge.
Similar idea, yeah. Big stone monuments. And this is presented as a possible link to a southern migration route the Maga supposedly took.
Southern route.
Yeah, traveling via India, Malaysia, Taiwan, Okinawa, supposedly with Sumerian royalty in tow.
Sumerian royalty in Okinawa.
That's the claim. And to bolster it, the video points out a Sumerian king, Ishbi-Era. Last of the Third Dynasty, his name contains Ibi. Ishbi-Era.
Ibi. Okay. Again, it's an interesting phonetic similarity. But is it just coincidence?
That's the question, isn't it? The video uses it to build this narrative of migration. But coincidences in names across languages and time happen. You'd ideally want more systematic links, maybe archaeological proof of contact between Sumerians and ancient Okinawans involving megaliths.
Definitely need more than just the sound.
Yeah.
Okay, third river, the Kiso.
The Kiso River. The video suggests a potential link here to Kish.
Kish, the Sumerian city.
The very same, a really important early Sumerian city, said to have received kingship after the Great Flood. Its rulers held sway over Sumer. The goddess Inanna was big in Kish too.
So Kish, Kiso, again, the name similarity.
Exactly. So the video's starting point is, look at these three major rivers, look at their names, and look at these potential echoes of Sumerian culture, history, myth. It's layering these possible links.
Okay, so let's follow that thread deeper into the Kiso River region itself. The video brings up the way the name Kiso was historically written.
Yes, with the character pronounced so.
Okay, just so.
Right, and according to one theory mentioned by Emoto Den, this character represents a Jewish sheep.
A Jewish sheep.
That's what the source says. And in Mr. Takuchi's theory, this so character is actually equated with Sumer.
Sheep, Jewish people, Sumer. All connected through this one character.
According to the theories presented in the video, yes. The transcript even notes the presenter sees a deep connection between Sumerian culture and Jewish people. It's quite an interpretive leap, linking characters and cultures like that.
Seems like it. How would scholars normally view connecting written characters across such different cultures?
It's really complex. Sometimes symbols do share origins or get adapted, but linking a specific Japanese character to a Jewish symbol and then to Sumer, that takes a big chain of interpretation based on specific, perhaps non-mainstream theories. It wouldn't be universally accepted without a lot more evidence.
Understood. But the so connection continues, doesn't it? Something about astronomy.
It does. The video brings up Sumerian astronomy, specifically lunar mansions called shuku.
Lunar mansions, like divisions of the night sky.
Kind of, yeah. These 28 lunar mansions were apparently foundational to Chinese astronomy and astrology, too. And the video links their presence in China to the migration of Sumerians.
So Sumerians brought this system to China.
That's the suggestion. And to tie it back to the sound, the city of Suzhou in China.
Suzhou. There's that so again.
Right. In the Yangtze River Delta, known for its canals, it's cited as a place with Sumerian influence, using shared astronomical concepts and similar place names as evidence of migration.
What's the general thinking on that, using astronomy and place names?
Well, the spread of astronomical knowledge is definitely documented, so the video uses the similar lunar mansion system plus the place name to suggest a historical link via migration. The assumption is complex systems like this probably don't pop up independently everywhere.
Makes sense.
But proving the exact path and timing of that kind of transfer, that usually needs more detailed historical or archaeological backup.
Okay, and does this so sound appear closer to the Kiso River itself?
It does. Near the river's mouth, in Yatomi City, Aichi, and also further upstream around Ichinomiya, the video points out place names like Osahara and Soda.
Both with that so character?
Both containing the so character, yes. So it's presented as these linguistic echoes being traced right there in the target region.
A concentration of these names.
Exactly. Which, in the narrative the video builds, strengthens the case. But, place names change, sounds shift. You'd really need proper etymological research to confirm a direct link, not just a resemblance.
Understood. Okay, moving north of the Kiso into Gifu Prefecture. Kagami Hara City.
Kagami Hara City. The video notes evidence of Jomon period history there, the Robata ruins, for example.
That's very ancient Japan.
Very ancient. And here's an intriguing visual observation from the source. The reconstructed Jomon pit dwellings, they apparently look similar in style to Celtic dwellings.
Celtic? Like from Europe?
Yeah, which, according to the video, hints at potential connections to both Sumerian culture via the Solings nearby and Celtic culture in the same area.
Wow. Celtic and Sumerian influences in ancient Japan.
That's the implication drawn. And the video also highlights how Kagami Hara City was formed by merging towns, including one called Sohara.
Sohara, with
Kisa and Nakamachi and Unuma, names that seem to echo the other threads we've discussed.
What should we make of architectural similarities like that, German and Celtic?
Well, sometimes similarities can point to shared influences or even distant origins if the details are specific enough. The video uses this reported resemblance as a clue.
Right.
But you have to be cautious. Similar environments or needs can lead to similar solutions, independently convergent evolution in architecture, if you like. You need a really detailed comparison of unique features to make a strong case for direct connection.
Right. Let's look closer at Kagamihara then. Nakamachi. You mentioned that name.
Yes, Nakamachi. And remember the video linked the Naka sound to Naga.
Ah, the serpent connection again.
Right. Well, in Nakamachi, there's Tegarao Shrine. It venerates the local guardian deity, the Ubusuna, called Tegarao, also known as Amano Tachikaro. Its origins are traced to worshipping a sacred rock, and the Wakura. Now, Tegarao is usually associated with Amaterasu, the sun goddess, who in myths is often opposed to serpent or dragon deities.
Right.
But, and this is the key point, the video makes the shrine itself features prominent dragon carvings.
Oh, despite the current deity.
Exactly. So the video interprets this as a sign of an older underlying Naga or dragon worship tradition surviving visually, even after the main deity changed. Layering of beliefs.
Interesting. What about Sahara, the town with the So name?
In Sahara, there's Kasa Shrine, established 864 AD, venerating a historical figure, Soga no Kureyamada no Ishikawamaru.
Okay.
But nearby is Aka Shrine, which is older. It's dedicated to Akakami. And this deity was supposedly brought there by that same Soga figure from Asuka in Nara.
Akakami.
Now, here comes another speculative link from the source. Akakami is potentially connected to a figure named Prince Iwatsuku.
And the significance.
Prince Iwatsuku's name apparently contains the number 50. And the video reminds us that 50 is supposedly a significant number in Sumerian numerology.
50. Sumer. Akakami. Soga. It's getting quite intricate.
It is. It's weaving together Japanese mythology, history, place names, and these potential numerological echoes from Sumer. Again, intriguing, but relying on quite specific interpretations. The significance of numbers can arise independently, you know?
True. Okay, what about the third town mentioned, Unuma?
Unuma town. There's Unuma Shrine, also called Murazumi Shrine, found in maybe 7th century. The video says it was established by a local powerful clan. The source mentions Black News Z, but doesn't explain it further. They enshrined Kanayama Hiko.
God of Mines.
God of Mines, yeah, from Nangu Taisha. And also Amano Horonomi from Masuda Shrine. Now listen to this chain. Amano Horonomi is linked in the source to Jufuku.
Jufuku, the Qin dynasty figure who searched for immortality.
That's the one. And Jufuku's origins are potentially Jewish, according to this video's perspective.
Jewish origins for Jufuku. Okay.
And wait, there's more. Mines, like Kanayama Hiko is god of, are associated with the Celts in this theory. And Celtic descendants in Japan are theorized by the video source to be the Oni, the demons or ogres of folklore.
Wow. So a shrine linked potentially to Jewish origins via Jufuku and Celtic origins via mining and Oni, all in Unuma.
That's the tapestry the video weaves for Unuma. It's linking deities and figures to multiple, quite disparate cultural origins. It suggests either a lot of cultural borrowing or maybe shared archetypes playing out. Evaluating it means looking hard at the evidence for each connection.
Definitely. And this mention of Oni, does that come up again?
It certainly does. North of Unuma, along the Kiso River, is Inuyama City, famous for Momotaro legends.
The Beach Boy.
Right, but also, significantly, for many Oni legends and place names like Onigashima Demon Island, Onitobiyama Demon Flying Mountain, and Oni no Kubazuka Demon's Head Mound.
Places literally named after demons Momotaro fought.
Exactly. And Oni no Kubazuka is supposedly the burial place of a specific fearsome Oni named Seki no Taro.
Tikeni do Taro.
Now, the video brings in the Nihon Shoki, an ancient Japanese chronicle. It suggests that these Oni might not have been purely mythical demons.
Well, what then?
Potentially, they were powerful real people or groups who resisted the central Yamato government.
Ah, rebels or holdouts.
Maybe. People who retreated to the mountains, perhaps skilled in metalworking.
Like the Celts and Mines connect.
Possibly connecting there, yes. And maybe associated with older, pre-Yamato beliefs, like Jomon traditions. It gives a fascinating and potentially historical grounding to these Oni legends.
More than just fairy tales, okay. Does this Seki no Taro Oni appear elsewhere?
Yes. Further southeast, up the Kani River, which flows into the Kiso, there's Oni-Iwa Park.
Oni-Iwa, Demon Rock.
Demon Rock. A big, prominent rock, also linked in local lore to the same Oni Sekinotar.
Another Oni landmark.
But what the video highlights here is the location. This huge rock is at the headwaters, the source of the Kani River.
Why is that significant?
Because it mirrors the Laputa's theorized practice, remember. Establishing sacred stone sites, iwakura or dolmens, at the headwaters of rivers when they were looking for fresh water, it draws a direct parallel. Japanese Oni folklore about a rock at a river source and supposed Laputa practices.
Linking the folklore landscape to the maritime civilization's possible behavior.
Interesting.
What about further upstream on the Kiso itself?
Okay, if we go upstream from the main Kiso flow, take a left branch, we get to Hida Kanayama.
Kanayama, Gold Mountain again. Like the god.
That's the name, yeah. Further up this tributary is a major site, the Iwayakage site, also called the Kanayama Megalithic Group.
Megaliths again. How old is this one?
The video mentions archaeological findings suggesting it could date back over 8,000 years.
8,000. That is within the Laputa time frame mentioned earlier.
It is, and it's not just random rocks. It seems to feature intentionally arranged megaliths with astronomical alignments.
The alignments to watch the sky.
Apparently, yes. For observing solstices, equinoxes, maybe even Polaris, the North Star. It suggests a pretty sophisticated understanding of the cosmos by whoever built it, whenever they built it.
A very ancient observatory, perhaps. Okay, what else is up the Kiso?
If we return to the main Kiso River, continue upstream past some castle ruins and gorges, we reach the Kamiyama Pyramids and sun petroglyphs near the Nakanokata Dam.
Pyramids. In Japan.
Well, pyramid-like structures. 4 of them, apparently. And the video gets quite speculative here, suggesting they could be older than the Egyptian pyramids.
Older than Giza. That's a huge claim.
It is. And it ties into astronomy again. They're supposedly aligned on the summer solstice line, and 2 of them align with Orion's belt.
Orion. Why Orion?
The video reminds us Orion would have been crucial for seafaring people like the Laputa, especially if they spent time in the southern hemisphere where Polaris isn't visible for navigation.
A key constellation for southern sailors. Makes sense. And petroglyphs, too.
Yes, rock carvings, reportedly including something that looks like the Eye of Bel.
Bel, the Sumerian sky god.
That's the suggested identification in the source. And maybe other images related to rain prayers, irrigagatu, possibly linked back to those serpent-worshipping Maga.
So potential pyramids, Orion alignment, Sumerian god symbols, Maga symbols, all converging near this dam.
That's the picture painted by the source, yeah. Right. It's quite a concentration of these potential links in one spot. Of course, dating structures that old and interpreting symbols across cultures. That requires really careful scientific scrutiny and archaeological consensus, which might not exist for these specific claims. The Orion point for navigation is interesting, though.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just try to pull this together, this deep dive into the source material. It really focuses on the Kiso River watershed as this hotspot of potential connections.
It really does. A concentration of clues, as presented in the video, pointing towards this theorized Laputa civilization and its supposed descendants, Sumerians, Celts, Maga.
We've got the river names themselves, Nagara, Ibi, Kiso, with those possible Sumerian links. Then the place names with the So character, possibly linking to Sumer. The reported Celtic similarities in Jomon dwellings.
Right, the architectural hint.
The Oni legends, reframed as perhaps early inhabitants with different beliefs, maybe metal workers.
The historical interpretation of folklore.
Then the megalithic sites Oni-Iwa at the river source, mirroring supposed Laputa practices. The ancient Iwayakage site with its astronomical alignment.
Yeah, the stones and stars.
And finally, the Kamiyama pyramids and petroglyphs, with those potential links to Laputa navigation via Orion, Sumerian gods, Maga symbols. It's a lot, a very dense web.
It is, and I think from the video's perspective, it's the sheer volume and the clustering of these potential links in one specific area that makes the theory compelling, or at least intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, obviously, the strength of each individual piece of evidence is up for debate, needs more investigation, alternative explanations considered, but the way the video lays them all out, cumulatively, in this Kiso River region, it certainly paints a picture of a place with a potentially very deep, very complex ancient history, possibly involving multiple cultural layers or influences.
Which brings us to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to mull over. Given this density of interconnected clues presented in the source, the rivers, the names, the stars, the folklore, the stones, Is it possible that the Kiso River region wasn't just some brief landing spot?
Hmm.
Could it have been perhaps a more significant and enduring focal point for this theorized ancient global culture in Japan? A place where their legacy, whatever it was, continued to echo, maybe evolve through later migrations and cultural shifts.
And following that thought, what other seemingly local traditions or maybe overlooked archaeological sites, not just here but elsewhere, what might they hold? Could there be other whispers of such a deep, far-reaching past hidden in plain sight?
Definitely offers a different lens, doesn't it? Something to think about.